I've been selling digital products on Etsy for 3 months now, and I'm so excited to share my March numbers with you all. So let's get into it. Hi, I'm Shay. I'm a beginner to Etsy. I started a digital download store at the beginning of this year, and my goal is to grow it to a six-figure business by the end of the year. So on this channel, I share literally everything I'm doing to grow my store. I share my sales each month, and I also share every single strategy I'm using as a beginner to break into the Etsy marketplace. So if that interests you, if you also are a beginner on Etsy wanting to grow it to a full-time income, or if you're just wanting to know what it's like as a beginner on Etsy, please like and subscribe. So this video is all about my sales numbers for my third month on Etsy. I do have videos about my first and second month, so I do recommend checking those out. I'll link them up above. Just because I share specific advice in each of those videos that's extremely helpful as a beginner. So with my goal to grow this business to a $100,000 business by the end of the year, that breaks down to about $8,300 per month or around $275 per day. So my goal is to, by the end of the year, be on pace for the six-figure mark. So be making around $8,300 per month. So because of that, I've broken out my revenue goals every single month and how I'm hoping to increase every month to meet that goal. So I will pop that up on the screen. So right now I'm just trying to grow this Etsy business 1 month at a time based on these revenue goals. So you can see that for the month of March, my goal was to make $1,500 in revenue on Etsy. Another thing I want to point out, if you haven't seen my other videos, I have been listing 3 items a day, which I know is a lot, but I'm really trying to grow this shop as quickly as possible. And I go into more detail in some of my other videos about how I do those listings because it's not a completely new product every single day. I do different variations and iterations of products. And holy cow, this month definitely had some ups and downs, and I learned a lot, so I'm excited to share that all with you. So let's go ahead and jump right into the numbers. So I didn't just meet my revenue goal for this month, I actually exceeded it, and I am so excited. But there were times throughout this month where I did not think that I would meet my goal, but Etsy really came through for me towards the second half of the month, and I think I know why. So let's get into more detail. So I started off the month really quite strong. I had quite a few days that were well above my daily revenue goal, which my daily goal to get to the $1,500 was just $50 a day, just to keep it simple. But it was weird because my sales started to drop pretty substantially within the first week. And then there were times when, day after day, I was not even meeting the $50 or I was barely meeting it. And then we kind of got to a low point on March 16th where I only made $7 and I actually posted a short about it. But I understand that there is volatility to Etsy, but at the same time, I was like, I cannot be, sort of on this decline and expect to meet my revenue goals. So there is something that I changed on, I believe it was either the 16th or the 17th. I kind of was like, okay, I gotta do something different. So I did change something. I think it was the evening of the 16th. And then I really think that is what helped the rest of the month because I really started to exceed my goal basically every day. And then I even had a day where I made almost $150 on Etsy, which is my highest single day number so far. So I was super excited about that. So before I get into what I changed on the 16th, I do want to show some of these other stats. It's funny because it's really been my conversion rate that was suffering the first area of the month because you can see that the visits basically continue to increase throughout. And I've seen that pretty consistently since I started my store, that more or less the visits are on an upward trend. So it is interesting, on a day where I make under $10, I'm getting basically the same amount of visits as a day where I make $75. So very interesting. It's mainly just the conversion rate that is fluctuating. And then same thing with orders. It's gonna pretty closely follow the revenue for the month as well. Okay, so now let's talk about what I changed on the 16th that I think dramatically increased my revenue for the rest of the month. So in order to do that, we've got to hop over into ads. Okay, so it took me a minute, but I finally think I am starting to figure out an ad strategy that works for me. And you might be thinking, Shay, your ads actually lost money compared to how much you spent on them last month. And that is true, but I will get into more as to why. And it's mainly because the strategy that I finally figured out, I didn't implement until March 16th. And so I actually was losing quite a bit of money on ads up until that point. So I figured out this strategy when I was watching a video by Hannah Gardner. I will link the video somewhere in the description so you can go check that out if you're interested. But Hannah is a Etsy seller, but she comes from a very strong business background, and so it's super fascinating to see her perspective and advice on things. And her ad strategy is extremely aggressive. Like, basically, she says that you almost want to be uncomfortable with the amount of money you are spending on ads, because that's really the best way to grow your shop and to grow it quickly. And also, her reasoning is that your competitors are going to be willing to outspend you on ads and therefore outperform your listings. So you need to be willing to spend on ads as well, especially as the Etsy marketplace becomes more and more competitive. So after watching that video, I was like, okay, I know I need to up my spend on ads. I think at the time it was last month and I was spending $7.50 on ads. And so what I did is I just doubled that and I started spending $15 on ads. And I actually didn't see increase really in sales from that, and I was super discouraged because suddenly I was spending twice as much on ads and not really seeing a benefit from it. But there are a couple of caveats to this strategy, which Hannah does mention, but I don't think they really sunk in until I tested this out for myself. And what it really is you want to spend to get to a point where you are spending as much as possible on ads, as in you eventually want to be maxed out on ad spend. But the biggest caveat is you don't want to push ad money towards listings that are unproven. So what I mean by unproven listings is listings that aren't selling well, listings that aren't converting well. So what you want to do is prioritize your top listings and put your ad money towards that. And don't even advertise your poor performing listings because you will be losing money. So what I had done the 1st of March until about the 16th is I was spending $15 a day, but I was spending it on basically all of my listings. And so like at least 100 listings. And so many listings that hadn't gotten any sales or any proof, that they are good converting listings. And so I really, truly was wasting money. And so on the 16th, when I was like, okay, I've got to figure out something different, what I did is I cut back dramatically on the number of listings that I was advertising. And my new cap in my store is I'm not advertising more than 20 listings. I really, really limit it to the highest performing listings. And then my plan is to just continue to raise my ad spend on those top listings at regular intervals. Just as I feel comfortable. I'm not at a point where I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna, spend $100 a day. I'm definitely going to continue to increment up. So at the beginning of April, I upped it now to $20 a day, but I'm still spending just on those top listings. So let me show you what this did. So you can see that I basically towards the beginning of March, upped it to $15 a day. And then here's my revenue. So you can see before, when I was just advertising so many random listings in my store, you can see how I had some days that did pretty well, but then I had days where I literally was making no money on ads. And then on the evening of the 16th, I changed that, and then you can see where now overall my ads are performing better. There definitely are plenty of days where we are below $15, but I'm okay with that. Another thing that Hannah mentioned in her video is to not obsess so much over like, okay, are my ads breaking even? Are they not? And that's because there are so many benefits to running ads that we don't see. And I've totally seen that where just because, I spend $15 a day and I'm only making $6.80 on that day, for example, because I was running ads on my top listings, all of those got boosted that day. And, maybe I made an additional $50 off of that boost, but it's just not reflected because it wasn't directly off of those ads. So another thing that this ad strategy does is it forces your top performing listings to become even more powerful. It really creates a snowball effect because you already have listings that perform well, and now you're just funneling more money to them, growing them into power listings that make you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars over the life of that listing. And if you look at some of the most successful shops on Etsy, particularly in the digital download space, it's not that all of their listings are performing well. They might have some listings that hardly sell, but then they have these top listings, which are really their big performers that they're really focusing on, and that's what's bringing in a majority of their revenue. So I want to say a word of caution about ads, and I've said it before, but I keep getting asked about this, so I will say this again. If you are a new store with no sales and no reviews, do not run ad money to your store. You will absolutely be wasting money if you're relying on ads to get you your first sales. What I suggest instead is to list consistently until you start getting organic traffic. And another thing you can do is ask your family and friends that would be interested in some of your products if they would be willing to purchase from you. So I don't recommend running any ads until you've gotten at least a couple of 5-star reviews, and I'd say at least 6 to 10 sales. And then you can start out small and start running ad money to your top performing listings and just grow from there. So enough about ads. I just want to show a recap of all my numbers for March and my net profit. So I ended up netting just over $1,000, which I'm super excited about. My gross revenue was around $1,800, but then I paid around $300 in fees and about $450 in marketing, which is a lot. But like I said, I'm trying to be so much more aggressive with my ad strategy and just continue to increase my budget each and every month. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, as of right now, all of my sales are either organic or from ads. And going into April, I want to start posting my listings on Pinterest. So I will definitely be reporting back on how trying Pinterest goes. So that is everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck in your own Etsy journeys. Please ask me any questions you might have. And as always, please like and subscribe. Thanks. See ya.